The Love Life and Lose Weight podcast will teach you the art and science of changing your habits around food. If you know what to do, but can't figure out why you're just not doing it, this is the right podcast for you. I'm your host, Advanced Certified Weight and Life Coach Heather Beardsley. I've helped hundreds of women just like you figure out how to think and eat like a normal eater, lose weight, and love life on the journey to goal weight and beyond. Your nervous system does not respond to your good intentions. Hi, I'm Heather. Welcome to episode 111. This is about how to help you figure out how your nervous system is a player in your weight management. If you are postmenopausal, this potential impact for you is definitely higher than for somebody who's not yet been through menopause. For some reason, and we're not really sure why, probably due to lack of estrogen as compared to when we were having our periods. That estrogen was sort of like a buffer, the progesterone estrogen that we had during our childbearing years sort of acts like a lubricant to the impact of stress on our bodies. And with lower levels postmenopause, our systems are more reactive. And this shows up for me as your weight coach. And I can see the impact of the higher impact of nervous system dysregulation on my clients. So today's episodes is really important because it's going to, if you think this is you, if you've ever felt like wired, or if you have a jaw clenching, if you are waking up in the middle of the night, if you are noticing on your Aura ring, if you wear a biometric tracker like an Aura ring, that your heart rate is up after a stressful event and it tends to not come down, or your tracker is telling you that your heart rate stayed elevated throughout the first half of your sleep cycle and it's only lowering later at night, and you are figuring out that that has to do with some kind of stress in your life. It could be maybe you're working really hard outside physically, right? Maybe you're really pushing yourself physically. Maybe you're training for a marathon. Maybe your work environment is going through a tumultuous change. Maybe you're having relationship stress and there's fighting and there's trouble there. Maybe one of your children is really struggling and you are 100% there for them, but it's affecting you negatively. And you can just feel that there's the way that your brain is logically attending to these things. And then there's the impact of this on your physiological body, your physical self doesn't respond to these ideas of like, well, it'll probably all work out. All it knows is that there's certain inputs and your body will respond to those inputs. And if you are a postmenopausal woman, your body's response to those inputs is going to be more sensitive, likely, than it was when you were in your premenopausal state. Okay. So this is a real thing that I deal with probably 80% of my clients. So listen up. And once you start to understand what your nervous system does and doesn't respond to, you can be a more effective intermediary to try to get your inner state to match habits around food that we all know help create fat loss. For most of you, you're trying to lose fat, right? And when we can get those aligned, then you will get results with your weight management, okay? But without one and only the other, you may find yourself saying, well, I'm not really overeating. I'm doing all the right things. I'm lifting weights. I'm getting my protein in, right? I'm maybe even counting my calories, Heather, and I don't know why I'm not losing weight. It could be that your nervous system is heightened. It's in a state of stress or sympathetic drive that is preventing you from seeing the results that you're looking for. Okay. Your nervous system doesn't respond to your intentions. It's not responding to your motivation. It's responding to the experiences that you repeatedly go through in your day-to-day life. And once you understand the impact of those experiences, then you will understand what might be governing your ability to get results with your weight management. And then you can start to intercede in practical ways to help teach your body that it's safe, right? And to really extend that into changing how you show up and changing some of those inputs. Some of these things we're going to have control over. Some of these things we're not going to have control over, but certainly we can, there are some tricks to help teach your body that things are okay enough so that it won't interrupt or interfere with your ability to reach your weight goals. So your nervous system, this is like, I always like to personify this in the simplest way. We don't have to make this complicated, okay? Your nervous system is like, let's personify it. It's kind of like the people inside your body. Let's just put it that way. This is not scientific, okay, people? I'm just trying to give you a metaphor here. It's like there are workers inside of your body, and they don't know what you're seeing. They don't even know what you're doing, right? They're sort of blind to what's actually happening in your conscious life. But so because they don't have a window into what's actually happening, right? They're always looking for evidence about whether you are cool, chill, and safe, or if you are under threat or stress. Something's after you, right? It's like that primal idea of like, are we in a rest and digest state, or are we in a stressed state? Are we in danger or are we peaceful? Okay. And these little personified aspects of your body are always scanning to see what, or to try to interpret what's going on in your life because they can't see. Okay. So it believes your experience, not your words, not your plans, not your vision board, not your planner, not who you see every day. It's just your thinking, really, about what you're seeing. So your thoughts are energetic impulses that happen inside your brain. And those energetic impulses create feelings inside of your body, right? If you're outside and you are at the beach and you're thinking, oh my God, I'm so relaxed. The sun feels so good. I love how the beach sounds, right? Your feeling is probably going to be chill, happy, relaxed, enjoying. You'll have a whole cascade of feelings that come from that thinking. And your nervous system is going to respond to those feelings that are created by how you're choosing to think about being at the beach. Now, let's take somebody else at the beach. Let's take, because there's always people who are like not beach people. So let's take one of those people and they're like, oh my God, it's so hot. I hate to sweat. I hate the feeling of sand between my toes. Okay, now my husband wants me to go in the water. There's probably sharks in there. So the feeling that this other person is creating at the beach is one of stress, right? And discomfort. And in the case of the water, anxiety. And so your nervous system is picking up on that, and you're going to have increases in, I'm just not even really equipped because I'm not even a doctor, but I'm not even sure that doctors could, even if they had the words, right? And I could have them on this podcast, adequately explain all of the thousands of responses inside of your body that happen when your body, your nervous system, your emotions are detecting stress in your environment, discomfort, anxiety. you're going to have a cascade, I know, of stress hormones, adrenaline, noradrenaline, epinephrine, which we know when we eat, right? In company of these stress hormones, your body handles that food much differently. This is how we know you've been stressed if you have been gaining fat in your visceral fat area. If there's been fat deposits happening in between your organs, not as typical underneath your skin, but packed in between your liver and your heart and your lungs. Gaining visceral fat tells us that you've been eating in the company of stress hormones, a cascade of stress hormones that is pretty consistent over time. So we know that the nervous system believes your experience, meaning it believes what you think and it believes what you feel about your life. So you can tell yourself, I'm safe, I'm not stressed, I'm going to eat differently, everything's going to be fine, right? But if your day actually looks like skipping breakfast, rushing to work, being stressed in traffic, yelling at other people on the highway, not taking a break, feeling stressed about your boss, doom scrolling, picking up other people's slack at work and then resenting them for it, working through lunch, answering texts while you eat your dinner. Your nervous system's like, no, we are in survival mode. And the human that we are interpreting her life is under stress. And our only job is to help her survive this stress by pumping out cortisol, by increasing blood sugar, by increasing inflammation, increasing visceral fat. And that's what the body does because the body believes that this is your best assurance against the stresses that you are experiencing every day, regardless of your best intentions. All right, let me give you an example from my coaching. I had a client come into our session. She's frustrated because, she's not really seeing the changes despite her habit tracker inside her planner. It looks great. She was eating really on target, exactly the number of overeats that she can sometimes tend to do that create fat loss, but it wasn't happening this week. And so it's that classic sense of like, I'm doing everything right, but the scale's not moving. And when we unpacked her week, so I have to go in there like a detective and poke around and ask really good questions about like, okay, well, what was your week like? And when my clients are doing their daily planning, there's always clues on there that I can look at to help pinpoint what's going on that could be getting in the way of fat loss. And it turned out that she's carrying nearly every household responsibility. Irritated, she's feeling irritated. She's not asking for help. She's tired and frankly a little resentful of it. And so in this case, right, the slight caloric deficit she was likely creating wasn't the only input into what happened on the scale that week. She was experiencing hypervigilance or over carrying for others all day long, most of her week. And that was moving into her professional life as well. So what did we do, right? Because all this doesn't matter unless you can take some practical takeaways from this insight that you're getting about your nervous system and its effect on weight management. I mean, for her, we worked on something that was almost like sounded silly at first, and it was just delegating one household responsibility. And it's not even to like reduce her chore load. It was to literally reduce the number of times each day her nervous system was rehearsing, I carry everything in this house. I'm always on tap for everybody. We need to get the number of times that she feels that down in her day. And we can only just start with like reducing it one by one each week. And through practice with that, in practical ways, in a few months from now, she will feel differently about her experience of carrying everything because she will have experimented with offloading these over responsibilities, and then the load on her nervous system will be less. And my hypothesis for her is that her system, her entire physiological system, will feel more open to allowing for fat loss, which is something that the body will only do if it feels safe enough to do. If the body feels like it's always bracing for the next thing to happen that is stressful, why would it want to get rid of fat reserves, right? Because again, personifying like those people inside your body who are part of your nervous system, uh, scanning for threats, right? Why are they going to allow your primal machine to get rid of fat deposits if it feels like you're always being hunted by a lion? It doesn't know that your kids are, not picking up after themselves, or your husband isn't, doing his fair share, or he's always coming home late from work, or he, blew off the grocery shopping, which you asked him to do, it it doesn't care about any of that. All it knows is the impact of how you feel, how you're thinking, and how you're feeling when that stuff happens. And so we need to recruit our manager brains, the ones that can think on purpose, to try to smooth the road for this, to try to help negotiate with our relationships with ourselves and with other people, with our household, to not over carry so much that the impact of that on your nervous system is also negatively impacting your ability to lose weight. That's a completely different intervention. So your body, I want you to think about it like this. Your body's always asking one question, which is those people inside your body that are scanning, they're asking, is she safe? They don't care about if you can lose weight. They're not, it's not really looking at calories alone. It's asking, is she safe? And it's scanning for the emotions that are created, which then cause hormonal changes, stress hormone changes, or even positive hormone changes, right? Like um, serotonin and dopamine, those those good neurotransmitters that come from enjoyment, right? All of those things. I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many cascade of things that happen from your experience of your life. Your body is not asking, can I build muscle? It's not asking, can she fit into her jeans? Just, is she safe? Safety isn't just physical, it's emotional, it's relational, it's financial, it's physiological. It's something that you have to pay close attention to. And with myself just being a few pounds short of my ultimate weight goal, which I mean, I've already reached my goal, but working with my doctor, I thought, maybe I could lose a few more pounds of fat and hold my muscle right where I have it. And it's been really interesting to work in this place where I am noticing the same effects on myself. And I've been paying close attention to my Aura ring and what it's telling me about my nervous system. So if you have an Aura ring or some kind of tracker, there's probably a section on your app called stress. And, these bio trackers are looking at a lot of different biometrics to figure out if you're in a stress state or not. I mean, there's obvious things like your heart rate. When you're stressed, your heart rate goes up a little bit. I mean, this is the essence of a polygraph test, right? If you tell a lie and you know it's a lie, your heart rate's going to jump up a little bit because hopefully we're not psychopaths, and we all know that telling a lie is not something that we value or want to do, and your body's going to react to that. So you see, this is your body. Like, take the polygraph. If you're lying on a polygraph, your body doesn't care if it's true or not. It just knows, like, ooh, her heart rate went up. So that means that what's happening right now, telling a lie on a polygraph test, is not safe. So let's take another coaching example. And I'll use myself as an example. So I noticed that, like, even though my habit tracker looks really good, I'm eating in a slight caloric deficit, I really haven't been consistently losing the fat at this stage, like less than 5 pounds from my goal. And so like I said, I was looking at my Aura ring, and in the stressed section, they will give you a graph of like stressed, like semi stressed, recovered, and then restored. So, recovered and restored would be more like that rest and digest safe section. And the stressed and semi stressed or activated, whatever they call it, is more in the stressed area. And of course, every day we have healthy stress. Like, the goal is to not never be stressed. Like, it actually would be terrible if you were never stressed. Just the course of every day driving, going to work, being with people, it's going to cause you to be in the stressed area. That's not the issue. The issue is, and what I was looking for from myself is, how often in my day am I counterbalancing some of those activated or stressed peaks in my stress profile with restored and recovered? And when I noticed I was having too many days with like one or two in those both sections, or like less than five. A better day to balance my stress is about 8 to 10 or more different counterbalances to the stressed. So what this means is, let's say I'm coaching with my clients. That I would be in the stressed area, right? I'm activated, I'm working, I'm using my brain, I'm really focused. And then after my morning coaching session, hopefully I do something like a walk that's not too stressful, right? To counterbalance that, to allow my nervous system to come back down, to recover, maybe not restored, but recover from that. And that would be like my natural lunchtime, or just doing some reading, or, I don't know, going outside, just doing something like that. And hopefully you're doing this in the morning, you're doing it in the afternoon, and you're doing it again in the evening to counterpoint some of those other stresses. Some of you are spending like 90% of your day in the activated and stressed zone. And if you are not seeing fat loss within that dynamic playing out in your everyday life, this could be very well a factor of this. Now, many of my type A ladies that I coach, you guys are the biggest culprit of this. And why is that? Well, it's not like you're trying to stress yourself out, or, it's that you have a positive association with go, 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 and do, do, do. And, for better or for worse, our society rewards that. Oh, I felt so productive today. I did this and this and this and this and this. And you might be doing that so much over the decades of your life that you're not really realizing that you're not stopping to recover from some of that. And as you move into postmenopausal uh, physiology without the protective aspect of your sex hormones that you used to have, it's creating negative downstream effects that could arrest your fat loss now because of that. And, it takes some coaching and a lot of practice to teach somebody who is on the hamster wheel of productivity their whole life to kind of get off now and then. And usually the thing is that it's not just lack of fat loss or lack of progress in your weight goals, or that like it's too slow, like you just, maybe it's happening but it's just not happening fast enough, or it just feels interminably slow or inconsistent, there's usually some other things that are going on with it, like inflammation or gut troubles, or what else? Mental health issues, problems with relationships, right? Like, can you just slow down enough to have lunch with me? Something like that, like within your relationships. It causes friction in other areas, is what I'm saying, not just with your fat loss. So I hope that you will start to tune into um, how this may affect you. Um, One of my clients can experience the same event, and one of them will stress eat and the other one doesn't. So it's not the events or what you're doing, the circumstances of your life that determine the outcomes that we get from the impact of our nervous system. It's our interpretation of how we are, again, like narrating the experience of our inner life in what we're doing. If we're feeling stressed because we never catch a break, and it feels really like a lot of friction for you, the impact on your nervous system is going to be higher. And I think this is part of the gift of midlife, being postmenopausal, is that we start to get tired of tolerating the level of friction that seemed relatively easier before. And I think that's a good thing. I think this is part of nature's way of asking us to kind of attend more to ourselves. Because, I mean, if you think about it just evolutionarily, in childbearing years, we really can't spend as much time on ourselves if you've got kids to raise as you'd like to. And so, the benefit of our youth, our metabolism, and our hormones allows us to kind of like go all in with that for a while. But then when menopause happens and that cascade of hormones and our metabolism goes through these changes, it there's breakthrough there of friction that's going to happen, and that friction is trying to wave a red flag to get your attention that it's time to come home to yourself. Self abandonment in the name of virtuous actions is supposed to not feel good, and it's up to each and every one of you to determine what you might like to change in your life. Maybe it's very little. Maybe it's just a couple of things that are rubbing you the wrong way or just don't feel as good as you used to find them. And that's your work. So, this is why I encourage you to use some of these newer technologies like the Aura Ring. Really use it. I mean, one thing you could do is to track, like, how many times did I go into um, recovery status yesterday? How many times did I dip into restored? And you can kind of see like what the patterns are there of how you're living your life and how that's affecting your nervous system. Um, these are all clues. How often is your body experiencing recovery? How often are you dropping into a relaxed state? And hey, newsflash, if you haven't been used to this, it's going to feel very awkward. It's not going to feel great. And the good news is that it doesn't mean because you don't like to slow down that your body doesn't want you to. It just is a habit. When you start to realize that your nervous system cannot be switched on like an on off switch, it has to have a dimmer in order for you to not burn out especially later in life. So you can learn to tolerate more periods of relaxation in your days. This is where the invitation comes in to start creating hobbies and engaging with things that bring you joy, and learn to slow down a little bit so that you can be fully recovered and restored. And when it's time to go again, that you really enjoy that. I think that cultivating one side of the seesaw that you have not been exploring can really bring so much more joy than you already have into your life. And then you probably will have the benefit of getting better results on the scale as well. So just a note for you, there's 3 ways that you can work with me. You can take a look at the fall seasonal planner for 2026 that will be released starting in early September. If you wanted to use my planner and you haven't yet, this is a great, easy way, cheap way to do so and just get experience with the last season of the year and see if my planner can help you. Coaching, one-on-one coaching. If you are a new client and you want to work with me, I now have a payment plan, which makes coaching a little bit more accessible. And so you can check that out at hbeardsley.com/coach or coaching. Sorry, hbeardsley.com/coaching. And then if you have been a client of mine in the past, or we currently work together, and you want a little bit more accountability, I'm starting up my seasonal success small group again this fall. I'm taking a wait list for that. If you want to be on the wait list, it's going to fill up quick. Just email me at support@hbeardsley.com. That's support@hbeardsley.com. So before I finish, I want you to stop asking yourself what's wrong with you or why can't I get results? And I want you instead to start really observing what experience am I giving my body? Those sensors inside my body that are always asking if I'm safe. Am I giving them inputs that I'm not safe if I'm rushing all the time, right? If I'm late all the time, if I'm criticizing myself all the time, if I'm overcommitting and I don't have time for anything, including like feeding myself regularly, or if you are constantly consuming upsetting news. You have to think about the impact on your nervous system based on how you're experiencing your life, not your intentions. So today, ask yourself, what experience am I giving my nervous system today? Not what am I eating or how many calories, but what experience? Am I rushing? And if I did rush, did I take time to rest afterward? Am I breathing? Am I taking full breaths? Am I eating sitting down? Am I allowing myself to finish one thing before I'm starting another? Have I taken any time to step outside and step away from electronics? Each one of these moments teaches your body something about whether or not you are safe. Your nervous system doesn't change because you make a promise or you have good intentions. It changes because you repeatedly create experiences that will tell your body she is safe enough to let go of some fat if that's your goal, or she's got the fuel on board, right? The protein to build new muscle. This is how lasting change happens. Not through force or repetition, but through repetition, through experience, and through self-leadership, and taking into account your entire body, not just your habits around food. So this is why I teach how I teach weight management is called integrative weight management, because it integrates all the systems of your body, your emotional, your nervous system, not just, calories in, calories out. Thank you for joining me today. Join me on Instagram at Thrive in Midlife and let me know how you found the episode. And hey, if you have been listening to this podcast and you have not given me a podcast review, please do that today. Take a moment now. Give me a 5-star review. I really put everything I have into these podcasts so that you can get results whether you work with me or not. So take the time to do that for me today. I really appreciate you. Stay focused and so long. Hey, if this episode resonated for you, then let's connect. Visit hbeardsley.com/subscribe. That's HBEARDSLEY.com/subscribe. and become a VIP subscriber. You'll learn how to work with me. You'll get 2 free gifts, access to exclusive VIP content, and get a discount on the digital follow-through planner.